What's up, y'all? Welcome back to another edition of Marketflow, powered by Thor, presented by Mode. We have had some big moves in the market and not really in our favor. It's been bloody. Or is it in our favor? We've got Thor. We've got targets. We know TA. So we're prepared for any direction. But, we're going to look at the contract here. And if you're not a powerhouse trader, I'm sure you were selling SOL all the way up 190 here into the 200s. You were taking profits and you've had the balls to start buying in 150 all the way down here to 128. If you're not a powerhouse trader and you don't know how to do that, Thor Auto Contract does that for you. What are y'all waiting for? Even in these massive dips that, everyone's fearful and bloody and crypto's once again dead right before the halving, go fucking figure. We still have over 2.3 million TVL locked, and users are experiencing an average of 44% profit. So, if you haven't been using AutoThor, you might want to look into it. Now, if you are a powerhouse trader, you've probably been using Thor, and we're going to take a look at some of the Thor calls that we have, as well as take a look at the charts. You remember last week when we were looking at the charts here, we had our bullish scenario and we had our bearish scenario, right? We either got our break and our retest out of this wedge, this noise, or we got a breakdown out of it and got our break and our retest. Where we left off, zoom in here a little closer. Where we left off, you can see we had entered this Thor long and looked to be finding support, quickly lost it, dropped right down to the zone. This is a zone we had established in our own TA, this 62,000. It's a zone that we said was a good potential area to consider DCAs. And we also had these targets all the way down here at 59,000. We've got two Thor long calls stacked up right here and the take profit points stacked up right here together. Now, these calls all of a sudden became much more realistic, didn't they? They seemed pretty far away when we were finding support in this long call up here and looked to just be going bullish, right? But we've cooled down, and I've actually taken a little bit of a step back in my thinking of Bitcoin, and I'm going to explain that real quick before I show these calls and where we could potentially hit these other zones. Why and what am I thinking? I used to always use Bitcoin as a barometric pressure, an overall gauge of the market, and I'm not sure that that's fully accurate anymore. Why? Well, Bitcoin is propped up with some institutional money now. That does make a big difference. We have not seen retail really enter the market. So this pump we've experienced in Bitcoin, breaking out of this 50 range and then blasting through the last all-time highs at 64, right? Blowing through this range, it has been institutional money. It hasn't been retail money. Well, the altcoins don't have institutional money. The altcoins don't have the retail money yet. So it's not surprising that they've bled so much harder than Bitcoin has itself. Will this change how we view Bitcoin Big Daddy as an overall gauge of the market? Potentially. Time will tell. What we do know is what we're going to do from here, right? We hit this DCA area of 62,000. Now we have this Thor long call stacked down here at 59, and we have our take profit points up here at about 65. So that's what we're looking for right now. Are we going to hold support where we are, or are we going to trigger these calls? Just like this previous long call here, which we fell through, right? We fell through this and found resistance at that point. how do you take this call and how do you protect yourself in case it does go the opposite way? But if we do hit entry point and we do pump up and fill out this call to take profit, how do you do this? Well, we're going to go to Thor and we're going to, again, anyone can use Auto Thor. You can have all these buys and sells you see printing here going automatically for you. But then again, if you would have just held, you would have made more money, right? Yeah, how's that working out for you? Anyway, we're going to go ahead and we're going to go into Thor and we're going to look at the manual targets for the trading session here. So we're going to hop right in. We're going to log in. Once you have a frog, you can get your access code, log in here to Thor. You see here on Solana, we're going to select Solana. You see we've got some asterisks beside it. That means we have some calls. We're going to go to the 4-hour chart. I'm going to size this up a little bit. And we've got a big, I'm sorry. I'm going to go to Bitcoin. We're looking at Bitcoin. My bad. Getting ahead of myself here. Going to go to Bitcoin. We're looking at the 4-hour. And you can see the two 4-hour entries here, right? I'll zoom in a little bit. Here's those 4-hour calls stacked up on top of each other, right? So here's these 4-hour calls stacked up on top of each other, right below price action. Now, I just have it to the side here where I can kind of figure price action over time, right? So here's these calls. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to look at that first call at 59,800 to 59,300 essentially. How would I take that call? I'm going to go into risk management, and this is where you as your own trader decide what your risk is. This is what is so powerful about Thor is Thor can be used tailored to your exact risk tolerance. So let's say your risk tolerance is $20. The risk amount you are willing to risk in the quote currency USD. So let's say I'm willing to risk up to $20 in this particular trade. I'm going to calculate. I'm going to look right here to the median of Thor. And I know I'm going to buy 0.0048 BTC at $59,270. And I'm going to set a sell order for that at 64,812 and a stop loss at 55,120. So my buy of 0.004 BTC at 59,270 is going to sell at 64,800 for a take profit, or I'm going to hit my stop loss at 55,120 for a stop loss of $20. This is how I take this trade and manage my risk. Now, if we enter this zone and we don't completely take profit, maybe this 59,000 is the best entry we're going to get for the rest of the bull run. Maybe that's the point where we see this, where we see the higher low come into play, and then we see the break, right? And then once we get the break, what are we looking for? Once we get the break, we're looking for that break, the retest, and higher low again. This could be the start of the bullish activity and uptrend, right? This is why we have our own TA to pair up with Thor, but Thor gives us our zones that we're ultimately looking for. Now, I'm going to take just a couple steps back from this. Remember, this is what we were looking at in a potential bullish scenario up here, but we've lost that uptrend. We still have these zones established, right? We didn't really test price action here after this break. we could come back down to these zones. Again, I know these zones sounded kind of crazy before, but after this dip, they've become much more in play. Let's go ahead and take a look at Solana. Solana's our baby, you know, Bitcoin's big daddy. Solana's our baby. Solana's got slapped around a little bit, right? The alts are feeling it. So, looking at what we were looking at this potential bullish scenario, right? Our green line pumping up and filling out these Thor shorts. Or we were looking at the bearish scenario. We thought maybe filling out these long calls and then breaking down. Well, like I said, we don't have the institutional money to prop us up and hold quite like Bitcoin does. We know the altcoins always bleed a little bit more, but we were thinking maybe this 150. A lot of people thought this 125. There was no way we were going to hit it. Why not? That was our top before, right? In this run, that was a temporary top. It's not a surprise that we've come down and retested again. At this point, it looks like we've found support. I do want to see the EMA break this downtrend. I'm sorry, the RSI break this downtrend, start getting some bullish momentum again. Are we going to hold this higher low? Not really sure. What we do have for Thor now is just this one big short all the way up at 219. These shorts here have been invalidated, and we've got one big Thor short up here at 219. And if that fills, coming down and retesting this 170 for support. So, what do I see? I still see a zone down here that we blew through. We only tested it one time, and if we really get ripped, right? We could come down and retest that 60% down range and put us right down here on our longer term support. Again, is this probable? Not necessarily. Is this possible? Abso-fucking-lutely. And that's what we said when we were up here inside of our price wedge and we had all these calls up here and everything was looking bullish. When we were sitting here finding support at 170, we were saying 125 is possible, but not really probable. Look where we are. So keep an eye on these zones. Know where we're going to go. Keep logging into Thor. See when we're hitting these take profit points and what calls are being printed, what are being invalidated. We're going to go take a look at a call that I've been talking about for some time because it's now played out almost perfectly, and that is Kusama. If you've been following me for a while on either Trader Tuesday or Marketflow, you've heard me talk about this Kusama call. Why? Why have I talked about this Kusama call? Well, we didn't really think we were going to hit it once we entered this long and hit take profit. But this call, even from the middle of entry, it's got a nice 60% to the take profit point. Good call to enter. But looking at more grand scale, this could give us a really good bull run entry and hold and give us looking at a near 20 or just over 20x looking at all-time highs, just a retest of all-time highs. So if Polkadot and the parachain ecosystem have their day in the sun and they start to run, I could see that being revisited. But look at that, guys. We hit the 60%. We wicked in the Thor zone perfect, and we're already into our take profit zone. We'll see if we maintain support and work up to those areas. Looking good, looking good. Kira is terrible. It's a shit coin. Sell it all. Not financial advice. Do your own research. Now, Kira is the lifeblood of cyber frogs. We have so much coming. We've got teases of rebrandings going on. We know we've got art upgrade for the Cyber Frogs art by the #1 artist in all of Solana, Scum Soul. Is Kira gonna play into some of that? I'm pretty certain it will. We've been told many, many times, faction your frogs. If you haven't yet, we don't exactly know why yet, but go faction your frogs. Let's look at some of the calls that we talked about before. We've gotten Jupiter just for holding cyber frogs. We got airdrop some Jupe. So we're going to go take a look at Jupe, and we get Jupe calls with Thor, right? So we're going to take a look at Jupe, see where we're at. Jupe, in my opinion, not financial advice, do your own research. Jupe is going to be a powerhouse in this run. It's the infrastructure. Solana is doing more transactions daily than all other chains combined. Let that sink in. They got to use tools to do this. Jupiter provides the means and the tools. Jupiter has come down. We're looking at it almost to that 60%. Remember, all the way back here from this peak, we were saying down here, anywhere around 70, 75 is an excellent buy on Jupiter. We got that buy at 79 so far. We haven't made the breakout just yet, but Jupiter under $1, guys. If we put Jupiter at a market cap of Uniswap in the last bull run, we're looking at a $16 Jupiter. That's something I learned on Mondays in Cyberfrog Discord with Cyber Dojo with the homie Rumpty. We got shit every day. We've got Cyber Dojo. We've got Marketflow on Tuesdays. We've got Marketflow on Thursdays. We've got Decoding with Dregs on Thursdays. And then the spaces on Fridays on Twitter. Let's go ahead and look at Chonky just because that's one I had talked about. And we're going to look at where we had our zones and where we're at this point with it. We're getting into some of the down and dirty now. But hey, we're degenerates here in the space, right? So we had these zones that we were watching. We look to be finding support on top of the last one. Our DCA gold zone here was at 60%, but remember, shit coins and meme coins can often go 60 to 80. Maybe we'll find that support. What are we looking for? We're looking for the break and the retest whenever we get that higher low. We're looking for that breakout. Long term, here's our line we're watching, right? We want to see this break and retest. But looks good. When is another one we had talked about. We had shown you some zones on it, and it has revisited some of these zones now. So remember, these are shit coins, not financial advice. Do your own research. But we had zones established where we said if we could get 40%, good area to load up. But if we could come all the way down here to our 60, good area to DCA, and it actually made it close to 70. But now we look to be making that higher low somewhere near this 60% down. Again, guys, I'm not trying to teach you what to buy or when to sell, but teach you how to view charts, how to use Thor, how to print money yourself. And if you are still having trouble doing so, then you should just look into AutoThor to let it do the trading for you. If you didn't take profits up here near the tops and start to DCA back in toward the bottoms, Thor does it for you. If you are a trader or you're dabbling into trading, want to make some more, use AutoThor. Look for your entry points, look for your exits, and know how to use the risk management tool, right? Proper risk management and finding yourself on the right side of probability is how you find yourself to be a profitable trader. Thor helps you do exactly that. It helps you find your entries and exits. You can use the RM, the risk management, to make sure you're properly managing risk. Here we are again. We kind of lost this bullish scenario. We're looking for it down here somewhere, filling some of these zones, getting the break and the retest. Not financial advice. Do your own research. Frogs fuck. Thor prints. Frogs are going to fly. We've got an art upgrade coming. And yeah, follow us or don't. Get wrecked, bozos. Thor prints. Peace out.